How we doing? Back again with another episode of Unveiled Past Podcast, episode 2. Got my guy with me
Yep.
once again.
Got old Dustin over here with the old
Oh,
D-Well.
Dustin.
Yep. What's going on, bro?
Man, chilling, bro. It's that time that we get into our episodes. As I'm sitting here trying to get my microphone set.
Yeah.
Can you see me? All right. What's up?
Yep.
So
Time to do our episode.
it's time to do our episodes. We're gonna dive right in, dude. Like we're gonna dive right in. Like we ain't even gonna skip it. We're just gonna dive right into it.
Yep. Let's do it.
Dude, so tell me more about yourself. You gave us a little, we both gave little snippets
Little snippets in the
point 0.5 podcast.
0.5. Yep. So my name's Dustin. I was born and raised here in Cape.
Yeah.
Graduated Central in class of 08.
Oh, wait.
So yeah.
It's crazy how, you were graduated when I was about to be a freshman.
Yeah.
I think I was in 8th or 9th grade. Yeah, I was a freshman.
Yeah.
Yeah, 08, because it had been 08, 09.
Yep.
Dang, dude.
Yep. I graduated in
That's
08.
crazy. Played soccer?
Played soccer, and then I did the diving team.
Yeah.
I was on the swim and dive team, yeah.
So Cape had a diving team?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a small one.
I didn't know that.
It was more focused on their swimming team than anything. And so how I actually got into that was we can get to that later on in the episode.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Okay. Sounds
but
like you got some juice in that.
yeah. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was.
Did you like it?
It was fun.
Do you still dive?
No.
No, not at all. Don't
no.
use that.
I'm done with it, man. Done with it. So.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Anything else, like high school wise?
High school wise, that's the only two sports I played, and then I just did your typical high school stuff.
Yeah.
Chilled,
hang
hung out, party.
I was about to say, dude. So you really weren't with, I guess, a lot of the football players and basketball players and guys, because you were wrestling and doing diving, soccer and doing diving. So.
Yeah. We did we hung out with a wide variety of people, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hung out with all the football players. It just depended on,
See, Sykeston was kind of weird because we.
it was clicky at Cape. You had your cliques.
Yeah.
But my group just floated
around.
for some reason. I don't know. We were just cool with everybody. We floated around over here to this group, and then went to this group. It was a good time.
So upbringing, parents involved and a lot.
No, man. No. So when I was as young as I could remember, my father, he wasn't around. He was in prison.
Okay.
And then my mom, she was an alcoholic, so
God,
she was there but not there.
Yeah.
So a lot of my childhood memories, I just remember myself raising myself.
Yeah.
And then
So did you grow with your mom? She was
So
your primary caretaker?
up until about 3rd grade.
Okay.
And then after 3rd grade, then I moved in with my grandma on my dad's side.
Okay.
And lived with her up until about freshman year in high school.
Yeah.
And that was kind of...
Did you like grandma and grandpa?
Well, it's just grandma.
Just grandma.
Yeah,
Just grandma.
just grandma. So it was... I enjoyed being there, but I also felt as I was an inconvenience too, because I kind of got the vibe of, I'm 50, 60 years old. I'm not supposed to be taking care of my kid's kid.
My kids.
They're supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
So I she was present, but not like a parent should be.
A parent,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So nothing against her at all or anything. I'm thankful that I had that opportunity, because who knows?
Yeah, man, because she was a blessing to be there at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But, it was... So, when I moved in with her, I was probably there for about a year or so, and then my dad got out of prison. And then, so I lived with my grandma. He moved in with his grandma when he got out of prison. She was 3 doors down.
Yeah.
So he would come down and hang out and do all that stuff and see me and stuff like that.
Pretty involved at that point?
At that point, yeah.
You still talk to him to this day?
No.
No?
Nope.
No.
Not a whole lot. Just the typical, hey, how you doing? Just checking in and stuff like that.
Cordial.
Cordial. But yeah, just It was a wild childhood, man.
Yeah.
Wild childhood.
So you saw some wild stuff growing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I couldn't even imagine a lot of that, man, dude. But like, nah, dude, it sounds like your grandma was really a blessing. Like,
Yeah,
honestly. It sounds
she was.
Like I'm glad that she was here to take care of you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you learned a lot at that time that led you to this point now where you have to take care of yourself.
Right.
And I could tell you do a damn good well that.
And I learned a lot of that on my own too, without even knowing it. You know,
sounds like you had to raise yourself.
So
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember going to kindergarten, getting myself ready for school, waking up, going to school, making my own lunch, getting home from school, making myself dinner and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
And so it was. I look back now, and there's no resentment for it at all or anything like that. Like, it sucked during that time.
Yeah.
For a lack of more term,
what you were searching for, you couldn't get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As a kid, you understand, but as an adult, you're just like,
right.
You know?
Yep.
So you have the grace enough to give that.
Yeah. But whenever I was with my mom, there was quite a bit of times like her mom and her didn't get along at all.
Yeah.
Like, always fighting over me.
Yeah.
Like
over you possessively?
Yeah.
Oh,
like that, and trying to use me as collateral to the other one. And, like there'd been times that the police had to come pull me out of my grandma's house because my grandma wouldn't let my mom have me. Like, they would have to come in, get me, and take me out because my grandma was like, no, he's not going out with you, blah, blah, blah.
And what a cycle is that? Because at some point you're going to go back to your grandma's house, and that's going to have to happen all over again,
Yeah, and then there was times that I actually watched my grandma. Like, I remember this one time I don't remember exactly what was going on. I know we were over there visiting my grandma.
Yeah.
And something happened. I don't remember what happened. I was young, real young. And they got into it. And then we decided that we were going to leave. My mom was like, we're leaving, whatever, blah, blah. So we go out there. My grandma comes running out of the house with a sledgehammer and starts beating my mom's car with it, dude. Yeah. Starts beating it with a sledgehammer, bro.
What?
And then, so we back up.
Oh, my God.
And then my mom, she's yelling and cursing and all that stuff.
Car's all busted up.
I don't even know what is even going on at this point. I'm just like 6 years old trying to figure out what's going on, like this, like all this was normal upbringing, like this is what
normal
I thought normal was.
Yeah.
But then she hopped in her car and like drove her car around her house because they lived on this little dead end road, and it was her house and her brother's house, opposite sides of the street. So she drove around her house and she started ramming into my mom's car with her car.
My God.
So we ended up, where the old roads used to be, where Dairy Queen was on Sprigg down at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, yeah.
That used to be the old roads.
Yeah.
We walked up to there, and we had to use a payphone to call for somebody to come pick us up.
Not a payphone.
Yeah. This is before that time, dude.
Yeah, that's back.
Yeah.
Dang, dude.
So, there was a lot more to my childhood, too, on top of that, like how she was whenever it was just us and the stuff that I witnessed while she was drinking and stuff like that,
Yeah.
But it was pretty rough childhood, dude, pretty wild, like CPS was always coming to the school
to get you.
Yeah, because my grandma was always calling in on my mom and all that stuff. And
so, do you still talk to your mom?
Vaguely,
same
like same. We're not tight knit, close or anything like that. But we, we'll chit chat back and forth. I talk to her more than I do my dad.
Yeah,
that's
something. That's something. I mean, it's good that you still check in on both, though.
Yeah,
like that's still good on you. You know what I mean? That's still real good on you.
Yeah. But, I also don't know their stories, their past.
Yeah.
I don't know what
everybody's
got a story.
Everybody that has an addiction problem has a story.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's a personality trait.
Right.
That, you know what I mean, or whatever it's in your head that makes you have addictive. Like if it's gambling, sex,
anything,
whatever, food, it doesn't matter. And that's the crazy thing that everybody that has it, they have a story.
Right.
And that's, so, yeah.
So,
damn, dude.
Yeah. So,
sledgehammer?
Then,
a sledgehammer,
dude. Yeah.
And you were 6?
I was like 6, dude. I didn't know what was going on. Windows were being busted out. Like, dude, it was wild.
Yeah, that's pretty wild, dude. And as a 6-year-old to remember that today, like to this day, like that's crazy.
And there was quite a bit of other things that were happening
behind the scenes
that I don't think would be good to
put on the scene.
Yeah.
No, we ain't gonna get into all that.
I mean, there was no like essay or anything like that, but it was there was quite a bit of other stuff that
happened.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yep. And so then I went and lived with my grandma on my dad's side. All that happened with my grandma on my mom's side, them two. And so I lived with her from 3rd grade up until about 9th grade. Started playing soccer from 3rd grade up until
soccer. Something that kind of kept you together.
Yeah. It was fun a lot. I had a lot of good friends. Played a lot. It was just kind of like my release, really. Yeah. I was able to run out there and run all the aggression out. And just play and feel like a kid for once.
Cape soccer was pretty good too.
Yeah,
y'all were pretty good for a while there.
Yep.
That's what I was asking you last time when you were on Point 5, the Point 5 podcast.
Yeah,
I love that Point 5, dude.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. No, but that's what I was asking you if you went to Cape or if you went to ND, because I knew ND soccer.
They were good too.
They were running the scene for some years, because I remember by the time that I was I think I was a junior, is when you really didn't hear about, Notre Dame soccer team anymore.
Yeah. They were good whenever I was in school. I know one year they went to state, and the only loss that they had that entire season was to us.
Dang.
But, like, you got to think, too, like, Notre Dame and Cape, rivals.
They're right there.
Yeah.
They're so close to each other. So
rivals along with Cape and Jackson.
Yep.
Yep. And so when it comes rivalry, no record matters at that point. Then it's just
it's just like, I'm winning today.
Yeah. Yep.
Man.
So, and then I ended up moving back in with my mom, and I moved back in because I knew that I would be able to get away with things that I wasn't able to.
How old were you when you?
I was probably like 14, 15.
Yeah.
Getting that age of just
being devious,
and a teenager and all of that, And so, it wasn't too terrible up at that point.
At that point, you were old enough to be able to, like, no, I'm not going to deal with this, or I hate to say it, but like argue, because you have to stand your ground in certain points. And
most of the time, I was out with friends or had friends over and was just gone a lot. I wasn't at home because I didn't want to have to deal with it. Like my friends were my family, because up until that point, I didn't have anybody. I had my grandma, but at the same time, like, we weren't super close. Like
So was your grandma alcoholic too, or did she?
No, my mom's mom was. She had a bunch of medical issues and stuff like that, and like whenever she would get her prescriptions, then her moods would start changing and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So I'm not sure of any drinking history in the past with her, but I know from as long as I knew her, she didn't drink. But it was almost like clockwork whenever she would run out of her prescription and she would start mood swings and stuff like that.
Changing personalities and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
And so And then I did the whole high school thing, just your typical high school stuff. Stayed away from home, didn't worry about it. Just made sure I went to school, and
did you do pretty good in school?
I passed. I passed. Academics wasn't my thing, I did enough just to play sports, dog. To be honest with you.
I felt that.
So that's what I did, and then I'm my brother. He's my older brother. He would come every summer.
I didn't even know you had a brother.
Yeah.
How many siblings you got?
I've got a younger sister, a younger brother that I met one time, another younger brother that I haven't met before, and then an older brother. And
all full or half?
Half.
Half.
Yeah.
All half by the same half?
My mother is the same half as my sister. My father's the same as the others.
Okay.
So
it's a crazy world that we live in that we have to ask these kind of questions because there's so many halves. And
yeah, it's wild.
It's crazy.
And so he always said that he was going to go to college when he graduated and everything. And I remember every time he'd come over, we'd always play the military video games on PS2 and whatnot. And
Call of Duty, Modern Warfare.
Yeah. So I'd always play that, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do whenever I graduate.
Yep.
And then I remember when I heard he went into the military, I was like,
that's where I'm going.
I was like, what in the world? Like, that was my plan. Like, what's happening right now?
He took my idea.
Yeah. And so then I tried college. When I graduated, I tried it at summer.
I liked how I just love how you were like, I gave it the good old college try.
I did. I gave it the good old college try, And so then after a month of doing it, I was like, you know what? This ain't cut out for me because it was rough, man. It was rough.
My guy, where'd you go to SEMA?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
did you do anything while you were there though? Like,
I mean, I showed up to class.
That was it.
You
didn't go to orientations,
Yeah, I went to orientation.
Did you go to the orientation parties, like the orientation events and stuff?
Yeah. Like I did all the.
I'm surprised you didn't rush or anything.
That's why I chose not to continue college.
It's so dumb to rush in your hometown.
I was going to, and then I was like, I'll give this the college try. I'll get in there with this group of guys, and I was going to do Sig New.
Yeah.
Because at the time they're popping.
They're so big guys.
And so after school not working out because of the night before. That's when I was like, you know what, something's got to change because I can't just keep on going through this the next 4 years and racking up and dropping out and starting again. And, so then that's whenever I decided to join the military.
How many years in the military did you get?
I did 4 years.
Thank you for your service.
4 years.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
No problem.
I wanted to go, but
we'll
get into that later.
All right. But yeah, I did 4 years as
Army.
I did 11 Bravo, which is the infantry. So I went to basic training down at Fort Benning, Georgia. Did that for 15 weeks. Come home, was home for the weekend, and then went to Fort Campbell not long after. And was there for about 9 months, and then got shipped off to Afghanistan. And was there for a year.
So when they sent you to Fort Campbell, was that when they were training you for your job?
They
just so you were infantry, so they didn't have to train you for a job in that case.
No, when you go into the basic training, the first 9 weeks of every basic training is the same. Basically, you're learning how to fight and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then after that, you'll go to AIT, which is advanced individual training for job specific that you chose. And so my training just continued on. Yeah. We did that for 15 weeks instead of just your normal however long, Yeah. So, it was pretty cool.
Pretty intense.
Yeah.
Some people they get into that and they have to wrap their head around it. And some people they go into that and they're like, "No, this is what I'm here for." And I feel like you were one of those people. "No, I like this."
Yeah, I did. I didn't know about it until years later after talking to my therapist, though. But she was like, it makes perfect sense why you joined the military.
Yeah, you needed that kind of structure.
And I was like, really? She's like, yeah. She's like, your whole life has set you up for doing this.
Yeah.
And you know, you were fighting and surviving your whole life, and now you're going in here and doing the same thing. Your skills were already applied before you even knew it. I was like, dang, that makes a lot of sense, you know? And so, yeah, we did that and then got deployed in February of 2010 and then
deployed to
Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know where we were
at. Yep. Got deployed to Afghanistan and then was there for a year, you know?
Yeah.
Seen a lot of things over there that most people shouldn't have to see.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Tough. You're a tough guy.
Yeah.
You're a tough guy. Man.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was a good experience, you know? I mean, looking back, it seems like it was just yesterday.
Really?
But it's been, I got back.
15, 14 years?
About that, yeah, 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
Since I got back from deployment. It's been 12 years since I've got out of the military.
So, I mean, I could see that because that's a very dynamic 4 years of your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's, you see a lot, you do a lot, you go a lot of places, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then after it's all said and done, you close that book, it's like, no, that book's still on the shelf.
Yeah. It's still on the shelf for sure. Yeah. You know?
See, man, I wish I had some of those stories, though. That's pretty cool. I ain't gonna lie to you.
It was, I mean, there's a lot of good memories over there, but there's a lot of bad memories too, you know?
Yeah. It's good.
So
you get the good with the bad. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Man. So, getting out of the military.
So then getting out of the military.
You said therapy. Did you start going to therapy recently, or was that after the military?
That was after my divorce.
Okay. So we'll bag up some more. So after military.
So after the military, you know, trying to get back into the groove of things, you know, started.
Where were you at in the world at that point? Coming back?
Are you here? I was down at Fort Campbell.
Okay. So you're still down in Georgia?
No, Fort Campbell's in Kentucky.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. Dang. So literally, it's the halfway point between here and Nashville. You know where Clarksville, Tennessee is?
I do.
That's where Fort Campbell's at.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I've drove past that base.
Yep.
Dang, dude.
Yep.
I haven't traveled like that in a while, so
yeah,
it took a minute for me to.
No, yeah, for sure.
Anyway, sorry.
So, you know, I got back here, and once I got out, I moved back to Kate. Was here for a little while. You know, things were hit or miss with my dad up until that point.
Yeah.
You know, like we weren't close, but we weren't far apart either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he ended up getting me a job at a sterilizing company over there in Jackson. And once I got there, I was like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. I had no idea whenever I got out of the military. That was just kind of the last thing that I thought. I was like, well, I'll see if he can get me a job there. So he did.
Yeah.
And so one of my other buddies that had already been doing line work introduced me to it, told me about it and stuff like that. And he's like, well, let's see if you like it first. I was like, yeah, that's what I'll do. You know, like I'll just go into it, and I want to be outside. I want to do something with my hands, and I want to be able to
like being
travel.
Outside?
Yeah.
You like being cold?
It depends. I'm hot though. I'm hot all the time. So,
I am too, and I hate being cold. So, also, just like you, I work outside as well, and I hate it. Yeah, I hate being cold.
The wind is the issue.
Yeah,
but so then he was like, "Well, come over to my house, and I'll let you try on my climbing gear, and you can just climb a tree in the back and see what you think." I was like, "Okay." He's like, so I went over there and put on his climbing gear and just climbed a little bit up in the tree a couple times and got a feel for it. And it's like, you know what, I'm gonna go for it and give it a shot.
Yeah.
And so then I went to the trade school down in Trenton, Georgia, which is right on the other side of the mountain from Chattanooga.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then did 3 months there. And then
how was that?
It was interesting. It was fun.
Got you up every day at 4 a.m. Got you out there till what, about 8 night training, climbing poles and stuff?
It was like a typical school day. So we get there at like 6 in the morning, and then we'd get off at like 3-4 o'clock.
Okay. I figured it was more like a work day. Like, I figured like they were, like, training you work-wise every single day in that case.
We'd spend the first half of the day doing book work inside, and then the second half would be out in the field doing hands-on stuff.
Sounds a lot like, CDL schools and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yep. That's where I got my CDL. They offered it down there then, yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know they could do that.
Well, our jobs require us, they're commercial vehicles, so we have to have those.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And so then, there was one night that they did a storm simulation. Like, we didn't come in at all in the morning or in the evening or like afternoon. We come in the evening, and during the day, the instructors went out there and tore up the lines that we built, and then we simulated a storm and did like night work and stuff. So that was pretty cool. That was like probably the best experience going into it blind that you get.
Yeah.
Without actually having to go out and do it.
Doing it.
Yeah.
Training pretty well. Or you think they could have did better in certain
in this trade? It's
since you've been doing this for a while now.
You learn a lot by hands-on and like getting the experience and stuff because everything is so different. Like it as simple as it is, every pole looks the same. All the wires the same. It's all wooden wire.
I mean, outside looking in, that's what it looks like.
But the strain of the wire pulling the pole one way versus the other way, you know, what else is on the pole, how many woodpecker holes, like every pole is different. The shapes of the cross arms up top on each pole rot differently and deteriorate. And so, you could change out this pole over here and take the wire off of the pole to put on the new pole, and then the pole adjacent to you, the arms could break because you added more weight because it's not supported by this pole. And stuff like that, so it looks all the same, but it's all different.
Yeah. So it's like, it's got to be one of those hands-on, like you got to know what you're doing, but like it's got to be like a hands-on job. So it's so many variables getting thrown at you,
Yep.
Man.
Yep. And so, I did that for 12 years before getting on locally here at home.
So 12 years you were doing, like, traveling doing it?
Yeah, traveling and doing it. So
what company was that?
I was with all kinds of companies.
Just contract and work, basically? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So we did a lot of storm restoration. I would travel all up and down the East Coast working ice storms, wind storms.
That sounds crazy.
Thunderstorms, hurricanes, all of it,
A rhinestone cowboy.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Exactly what that sounds like.
Yeah.
Man.
And then, so during that time frame, that whole time frame there, being in there, I got in after I joined the military. I actually hired on to a contractor after I graduated in September of 2012. And then that's whenever me and my ex were dating.
Yeah.
And
ex-wife?
Yeah.
No.
And so, we all up until we dated for like 8 years. And then we tied the knot. And then I went out to California. She went out there with me. And then she come back like 6 months before I did. And then I ended up coming when I got back home is when our divorce started happening and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Kind of grew apart over the time, or?
Yes and no. There was a lot of things that went on in our relationship.
Were y'all good to each other? Let me ask you that.
No, not always.
Yeah.
Not always. Both sides were manipulation and narcissistic and just gaslighting one another and things like that, and not to point any fingers or anything, but neither one of us had any good role models to show us growing up,
Kind of had the same upbringing, I'm guessing.
Yeah, kind of, sort of, from what I gathered. I'm not going to put her business out there, but, from what I gathered, and it's hard to really compare the two because they're two different lived experiences. So she might have perceived it worse than mine. I don't know.
Okay.
But I know that our relationship, we weren't good to each other. There's a lot of manipulation, a lot of back and forth.
That happened a lot before you got married? Or,
yeah.
So
And everything was all, like, questionable and stuff like that. Like, you know, I remember, like, I've always wanted kids, and, you know, one moment she would want them, the next moment she wouldn't want them. One moment she'd want to get married, the next moment she wouldn't want to get married, and stuff like that. And then finally, just back and forth, and then based off of me living in my head and not being able to communicate and everything like that, I was back and forth on that too.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, do I really want to get married then, or do I not? And then when things were going good, I was like, well, yeah, you know, I do. But then things get bad and be like, well, what am I doing?
Everybody in that time that they're happy and everything is all, you know, like I said, Dory, and you're just like, hey, man, oh, yeah, I love her, she's mine. And then as soon as it hits, you're like, yeah, I don't even want that girl. I don't even, yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
It was, so, I mean, it was pretty rough, you know, on me at that point. And then I ended up going through therapy and everything like that. Like, I didn't know what else to really do. I actually, and this goes into a little bit of what I iterated with on Justin's episode, but, you know, like, I remember just not really knowing what to do, where I was going to go. Didn't really see myself really being there much longer. And just like, you know what, like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, everything I ever worked for, everything that I've ever dreamed of is just gonna be gone. And
how long were y'all married though?
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah, 2 years. And so my first sign should have been the 8 years point. If I didn't wife her up at that 8 years point, then I should have just.
The fact that you were back and forth.
Yeah.
Like, and I know exactly because, like, I have similar length in my story. But, like, at that point, that's when you really know, like, 5 years, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of what I just tell people. I'm like, 5 years in, if you've been dating somebody that long and you see signs, like, it doesn't sound like that.
See, I think
or go to therapy.
I think it's even shorter than that.
Yeah,
honestly.
Really.
Like, I think that.
When you know yourself.
When you know yourself. And they are there and you guys are working together and stuff like that, like, I think you know within a year.
Yeah.
Within the year, 2 years, if you're going to marry them or not.
Yeah. Yeah. At least 2 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because there's multiple layers of people. There's a person you meet, there's a person you date, and there's the person you live with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's when you break it down to that, it's 3 different people that you met within one person. So you really have to, like,
right.
Do I want to be around all 3? Like 1 was good, 2 is all right. You know what I mean? Like, we have fun, and that's cool. But, like, living with them is a whole different, like, man, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It was, you know, and things weren't good. Like, I wasn't good, you know. I was dealing with a lot of demons whenever I got back from deployment and stuff early on in our relationship. And, you know, I was out drinking all the time, like, basically living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Just.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I don't see you.
Man, dude, it was wild. It was wild. And then,
I know this man is like, he don't drink, like, he don't do nothing, man.
Yeah,
like,
you know.
But, like, to hear, you know what I mean? I understand it, but, like,
yeah,
I don't see it on you.
Man, dude, I was. It was wild. It was pretty wild. Like, I remember one night, the night that I stopped. Like, that ended my drinking for me was when they were shooting Gone Girl here.
Yeah.
And all the bars downtown were closing early so they could shoot the scene downtown. And, like, I ended up walking on set.
Drunk?
Yeah.
It's like, fuck it.
Yeah, and then, you know, that was one thing, and then the night led to the next across the river, and then that was all she wrote.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what?
I'm done.
Yeah.
That's a wrap.
Yeah. Yep. And so then I quit. And then
I'm thinking, I was like, Gone Girl. I was like, that's 2016, 2018?
It was like 20, when they were filming it was 2012.
Was it 12?
Was when they were filming it, yeah.
Was it that long ago? Dude,
yeah. It was that long ago.
So you haven't been drinking for 12 years.
Yeah.
12 years.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll have one every now and again, but I don't get like I did before.
Yeah.
You know, like
That's
I just can't handle it no more. Body's different.
Was that body's different.
Yeah.
Was was that something that you leaned on in your relationship with your ex?
No, because that's where the relationship started.
Okay. So y'all did that together, I guess.
No.
Okay.
Because at that time she was underage.
Gotcha.
She was when we got together, she just graduated high school.
Okay.
And then she was down at Murray State University going to college there. And then whenever I got out of the military in 2012, she was going back to SEMO.
Okay.
And so she left Murray whenever I left Campbell, and we come back here.
Okay. Okay.
And so I just, after the military, I just heavily drank after that, you know.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that I was very like abusive at all, but I didn't care about, you know, I'd be out till 5 o'clock in the morning knowing she's got to work and have people come over, and we'd still party at the house knowing she's got to go to work early in the morning.
Yeah.
You know,
you didn't care about what was around you. You were
right.
just in autopilot, basically.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of, you know, PTSD from being in the service and stuff like that, too. It's like you were just kind of going on adrenaline and just didn't know you were going on adrenaline, just drinking and hanging out and doing what you wanted, you know?
Right. I definitely felt invincible when I got back, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we were in quite a bit of firefights over there. Yeah. So, you know, get back having to deal with that.
Like you said, infantry.
Yeah.
Like you weren't like co-op. Like you weren't just chilling, you know what I mean?
No.
Like, but you were infantry. Like you were firsthand in there.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yep. And so, you know, so then our relationship just kind of had its ups and downs, like any other relationship, you know. And after I stopped drinking, things got better. And then there was a lot of resentment with her towards me because of all of that and so forth, you know. And I don't blame her. I can't say that I would or wouldn't have because I wasn't in that situation, but I don't blame her.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that wasn't right for me to do. And so, you know, it just didn't start out good.
Yeah.
It started out on a rough patch, and that should have been
the signs right there.
You know. Yeah. But we did that for 8 years, and then we moved down to Tennessee. And
so 8 years in, then you moved to Tennessee?
No, we were together for 3 or 4 years. And then we moved to Tennessee.
What made you move to Tennessee?
Job. Yep. So I moved down there to work down there. We got a place. Before that, I was traveling back and forth working from Iowa. And so she was down here during the week, and I was up there.
Come home on the weekends?
Yep, just come home on the weekends. And that was a 6-hour drive. And
I
that was,
already know.
Yeah.
Well, that's not fun.
You know, so that was a lot of the driving factor of moving down there. That way I didn't have to travel back and forth so much. And, you know, she didn't want to live here anymore.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we moved down there, and everything was good. You know, it's like a new, fresh start. So everything was fine, and then it ended up weaseling its way back to what it was.
Yeah, same two people.
Yep.
Same two people. So.
And, you know, nothing I ever did was right, and she was always mad at me, and, you know, that was my perspective of it and stuff like that. And I don't know what her perspective was, but I'm pretty sure it was similar. So whenever two people have those about each other, you know, they're going to collide and argue and fight and stuff. And so, you know, she ended up starting to doing the whole therapy thing and doing her ordeal and whatnot, you know, with them. And so then as her therapy went on, well, I ended up going out to California. She came out there a couple months after I did, was out there for about 9 months with me. And then she ended up coming back. And then my sister ended up moving down there because of the relationship with our mom and her.
Yeah.
And so, whenever she moved down there, then it's like 6-7 months later, then I ended up coming home. And then I thought everything was fine.
Yeah.
It's what it perceived to be. And then she went on a girls' trip, and then she got home. And then the day after she got back from work, she was like, I want a divorce. I was like, all right. There was definitely a lot more emotions going on about it than that, but.
My guy said a girls' trip. Yeah.
Yeah.
Notorious girls' trip.
Yep.
Man. Anyway.
Yeah. And
that did it for me. I'm just gonna let you know that did it. As soon as you said girls trip, I was like, oh yeah, they was plotting, boy. They was sitting around plotting, eating good, plotting.
I believe.
I don't know.
I believe that the plotting had been going on well before that.
Oh yeah, but the girls trip was
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They eating good. They're like, nah, my girl about to execute. Like,
yeah. Yep.
Trolling, dog.
Yeah.
Man.
And so, then I was like, my entire world was freaking changing at that point, and I just didn't know what to do. So then that's whenever I was like, man, I don't really know what to do. So I ended up calling one of my buddies up, and I was like, hey man, this is my current situation. You got time to talk?
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there thinking, if he ain't got time to talk today, it's done.
Yeah.
And then, an hour goes by, and he's like, hey, meet up with me in about 30 minutes. And so then I went and met up with him, and then we talked for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah. So were you hanging out with your friends a lot while you were in the relationship, or were you just in the relationship?
So all of my friends were back here.
Okay.
All my close friends at that point in time were back here. And then when we moved down there, it was just us. And then she developed some friends down there.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of got in with the husbands of her friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then, one of them actually went through a divorce while we were out in California. And then she ended up getting another boyfriend, and me and him ended up linking up and
came pretty cool.
He had a military background, he was infantry,
yeah,
and stuff like that, and they're still together today. Yeah. And so we check in on each other every once in a while and stuff like that, and
because it's it sounds like you had you got a close knit friends, group.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of wondering how your relationship would have been if you had them behind you, supporting you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
they really didn't see it either. And it's kind of weird because at the time it was only her single friends and the friends that were going out and partying that she was hanging out with, and then all the married people had no idea what was really going on. They were texting me asking what was going on and how everything was and so forth,
appalled by the situation.
Yeah. And then, one of them ended up calling her and was trying to figure out what was going on, and she was just dropping everything. Oh, he did this, he did that, blah, blah, blah. This is what happened. If it's his fault. And they had to stop her, and they were like, look, we're not going to listen about the he said, she said thing.
Right.
We're adults here. What is the actual problem? What also have you contributed to that, didn't
it takes two to tango.
Right, didn't fulfill the relationship. And they said all she did was hang up after that.
Avoiding.
Yeah.
Man.
So that was pretty rough at that point. But then, I remember trying to just get things figured out. I ended up talking to 30 different therapists before I finally found one. And then I ended up going to her, and she really challenged me. I absolutely was against therapy for a long time.
Yeah.
It's I ain't gonna do it. I don't need it. What's actually going on? It's just that behavior of oh, I'm too tough. I can do it. I can handle it on my own.
Did you see change in that for yourself, or
Oh,
did you
yeah.
see yourself changing?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so I absolutely could not stand therapy. It's like I tried it before. You know, when I tried to go through it through the VA, all they wanted to do was give me pills.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want
I don't need to be drugged.
I'm here asking for some help, and you guys are just trying to pawn it off on medication. I'm like, no, I don't want that. And you know, they would give me sheets of paper and be like, here, fill this out, and we'll talk it over next time. Like that was literally the therapy session. Like I'd walk in, they'd look at the previous paper, look at it, and be like, well, how'd that make you feel? Okay, well, here, do this. We'll talk about it next time. And I'd walk right out.
No retest, no nothing. It's crazy.
And so, so I knew I wasn't going to go back to doing that with the VA. And then I ended up talking to a doctor that I found down there, and she convinced me to go on some pills. And so I started taking some anxiety and depression pills. And so once I started doing that, I got up to a certain point that I started feeling better. I could finally get to where I needed to be. And I started doing therapy, and I started weaning myself off of those. Yeah. Once I started therapy and everything like that, I don't take them anymore or anything like that. I went through therapy, did that for about a year and a half. And then the challenges that I went through and really the self-discovery and seeing things from a different perspective. There was 3 different types of therapy that I did in there.
Yeah.
The typical, what we're doing now.
Talking. And
then I did EMDR, and then I did equine therapy, which is with horses and stuff. And, animals and how they react can tell how,
yeah, they sense off of you.
Right.
I never even heard of that before.
Yeah. They do it with all kinds of animals, man.
Yeah, I could see that.
Did it with horses, and I only did a couple sessions of that, but I did quite a bit of EMDR therapy. So it's, I forget what it stands for, but basically you either move your eyes left and right, or you have something in your hand that stimulates or beeps or something that you can hear.
It's responsive.
So it's responsive, so that way it gets both sides of your brain thinking. Gotcha. Because all your trauma lives in one side.
Gotcha.
And then whenever you open up the other side of your brain, you start viewing the trauma differently. Gotcha. And you start seeing it from different perspectives and stuff like that. And that's where I healed a lot through some childhood things, and I healed a lot through military things by doing that too.
Yeah. Grew you. Made you out there. Get a different POV.
Yeah. Yeah. So then I started doing all of that, and then started really heavily getting into self-help books, reading.
Do you read a lot?
I listen, so I don't really read a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts and I listen to a lot of books, but I don't do a whole lot of reading because my brain, the way that it functions, is just hard for me to keep up with by reading the words and trying to picture
retaining
everything.
every little detail in the book just to keep the picture going.
I found that I retain it a lot better when I listen to it, because then I'm actively thinking about it and thinking about past scenarios with myself as it's being said and so forth, and I retain a lot more through it. And so I listen to a lot of Audible.
I don't listen to any books.
No. There for a while, whenever I was going to the gym, up until this year, earlier this year, every once in a while I'd swap back to music and listen to music whenever I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
But majority of the time it was either a podcast or a book when I was in the gym.
So I tried the podcast in the gym, but I get into it and then I start talking, me, or I start talking 2 or 3 people, and then I'm like, wait, what was I listening to? It never fails either.
Right.
No, but that's cool, dude. I like that. I like that. The responsive therapy. I like that. I could see that working, and I could see that being something that's beneficial to people.
And it's hard to really, so it's not really hard, but it's thinking about when it was actually done it was designed in the 80s.
So what do you mean that?
So like this type of therapy was introduced into the 80s, and it was designed for yeah, it's been around for a while, but it was mainly for post traumatic stress disorder for soldiers and stuff.
It works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to think about too, especially being like PTSD for like veterans.
Yeah.
And to have to like view your trauma differently because everybody I mean, it's
right.
Some wild stuff that you see and some wild stuff that you go through. So.
Yep.
No, so you said you did therapy for a year and a half.
Yep.
Year and a half. Was that after? You said that was after.
Yeah, after the divorce. Yeah, like after she said that she wanted to do it, then I started going and getting therapy and getting stuff figured out, and started on my own healing journey and healing path, and learning a lot about relationships, values, what my beliefs were, what I saw and what I wanted, and just what I thought life would be like for me from here forward.
How is life?
It's good. It's good. It's a lot better. A lot better. A lot that I realized after my divorce was I was in a comfortable state. I was complacent.
Yeah.
I didn't want to change anything. It was working. I had everything that I said that I wanted and so forth, and I knew there was more, but I didn't know how to go about more, and I just got real complacent within the relationship and with, my job, like everything, every aspect of life. It was just okay.
The norm for you,
Yeah.
and you were just okay with it.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing, though. I mean,
it's not, but when things become stale and
you need to change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Throw something else in there,
Right. And so that was a big change up. And so then, it got to a point into the relationship that I didn't know what I even enjoyed doing anymore.
Yeah. You lost yourself.
Yeah.
And you became saturated because you were just caught up in that, you know? Yeah.
Yep.
I can tell you about that.
And then, so it was really, really hard. Like, I remember coming home from therapy sessions and just I don't even remember the drives home.
Just disassociate.
Like, I was just so out of it, so emotionally and mentally drained from the therapy session, and just I don't remember the drive home. I get home, go to sleep, and next thing I know, my alarm is going off for work.
Yeah. Man.
And so then once things started getting upbeat, that's also whenever I started hitting back at the gym pretty hard and getting back after it. And,
did you get big when you were in the military, or were you big before the military?
I got big probably after
military.
Yeah, I did a lot of weightlifting whenever I was in the military, and then like once I got out in 2012, I actually ended up quit working out for 7 years. And then after
you're gonna love to hear my story.
after my divorce, man, I hit the gym back up, and then I guess I picked it all back up after that.
That's how it happens, man. That's how it happens.
And so it was all kind of a blessing in disguise. Like, looking back now, I realized and saw that there was a lot of things that I wasn't okay with that I was just allowing to happen.
Yeah.
There was, what is it? I wasn't happy. I wasn't.
Probably weren't happy and didn't even know you weren't happy.
Yeah, I didn't know. Didn't know. I look back now, and where I'm living at now is 10 times better than what I had down there.
Yeah.
I had to get rid of everything.
Dude.
And
I remember you were moving all your furniture back. You were like, yeah, I don't need this. I don't need that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And so, it was wild. I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm so much happier now that I don't have the things that I always wanted than whenever I had them all and was boasting it and being like, oh yeah, I got this, I got that, I got that, because that wasn't that was just materialistic things.
It really
and
is.
as much as people want to really sit there and talk about everything that they had, man, like I know from firsthand, like the stuff you have can be gone in an instant.
Man, as fast as you got it.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. Sometimes even faster.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Sometimes even faster.
Right.
But
man,
yeah, I did a lot of good healing journeys, and did what was it? Matthew McConaughey did it was called like a road trip or whatever, to where he took you on a road trip healing journey type thing.
Yeah.
And each week he would do this course, and that's when I like really dove off into it and started
figuring out you.
Yeah. Because
so what do you what are some of the things that you learned along the way? Like what do you like?
Learning along the way, I've found that I like playing golf. Yeah. I like lifting weights. I used to not like cooking. I like to cook myself meals, although I don't really much anymore, just because of my work schedule and gym schedule and so forth. But every now and again, like I like doing those types of things. I like going out hiking and enjoying scenery and just seeing the things that other than going into a bar.
Yeah.
Going downtown where everybody else goes. Like, I
that's
like
not fun.
I like being on the not the beaten path.
Mm-hmm.
Going out and seeing, like I did a photo shoot out at an Inspiration Point last year. Like, just the views of that was breathtaking. Like being up in Northern California, up in the mountains, and seeing the redwoods. Like, dude, that was phenomenal.
Yeah. So that's what really gets you going now.
Yeah.
It's cool when you figure that out too.
Yeah, for sure. And just being around good, authentic people, Yeah. That is also very enjoyable.
That's a pure bliss moment when you're just in a room full of just good people.
Yeah.
Especially when you can choose the people that you're in.
Exactly.
They're all good, do they?
Yeah.
That is good. That puts a smile on your face, like,
yeah,
man, right there.
Absolutely. So, but I learned a lot of values and stuff that I believe, and I believe that there are a lot of good people that they just don't know how to break out of the habits. They don't know how to get past the moments because they may not have people in there that support them, Like, we all need somebody to lean on.
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, a lot of people need gratification.
Yeah.
And that alone can solve a lot of their problems. But when they don't get gratification, they don't know how to seek it within themselves.
Right.
So that's why I always, I've been saying this since we started shooting. I mean, it's like, man, you got to know yourself before you can want somebody to even tell you who you are. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So like, I definitely stand behind that though.
Right. But I'm talking more so like on the friendship side of things. Like,
Gotcha.
You need somebody to lean on that you can,
Gotcha.
like, hey, like I'm going through this, like.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Be real with me. Let me know if I'm actually messing up or, if.
Keep me on the path.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. If I start slacking, smack me, what I'm saying? Get me back on where I need to be.
Hold me accountable for times that I can't hold myself accountable.
See, and saying that is knowing yourself. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That is knowing that you slide sometimes. Like, there's sometimes that you need somebody to be like, hey, dude, kick you in the butt.
Yep.
Yeah. So, no, you're right.
Absolutely.
You're right. Man.
And so, but like, I don't have a very close relationship with my father. And that also transpired within, before I went out to California, like about a year before me and my ex got married and stuff, like he ended up relapsing and then put all the blame on me. And I was like, okay.
Dang.
If that's how you feel, then
that's what you need to do.
Whenever you feel like, if you feel like I'm the issue, then I'll solve that for you.
Yeah, I'm gone.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I've always had close friends and people like that we're like family and stuff, you know. But I've never really been like super close with my family.
Super close with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of. It may be wrong. May not be. I don't know. But at the same time, I feel like regardless of who that is that's in your life, if they're causing you any type of hurt, pain, or negativity, then you owe it to yourself to not allow that to be a part of your life, because all that's going to do is drag you down.
Yeah.
You know,
it's not wrong.
Right.
It's not wrong at all. You know,
especially if, you know, it don't matter who it is, family or not.
Who it is, especially if you can communicate with that person and come to a common ground over boundaries.
Yeah.
It's not relevant to you at that point. It's not important. Like,
right.
Nix it from your life. You know, and that's something that I've told you a little bit about, that I've had to wrap myself around that as well. So I understand where you're coming from in that. And it sucks.
Yeah.
But then again, you got to do what's best for yourself.
Right.
You know?
That's right.
So.
You know, and then on top of all that, you know, I kind of got into the whole, like, spiritual journey type stuff. And
go to church?
No, I don't go to church. I believe that there's a higher person there, thing, or whatever it may be, you know. I just kind of have my own thoughts on, like, instead of it being God, like the universe.
Okay. I was about to say, so you, like, have thoughts on, like, a higher being? Like, you're not saying, like, it's God?
Like, it's not a specific person, but there is something higher up there, you know.
Do you believe in aliens?
I don't disbelieve it. So, I believe with anything is possible, man. You never know.
Dude, I'll get you. I get you.
You never know, dog. Like,
just the fact that you said I don't disbelieve it, just like
yeah, like that very well could be.
He said it could be.
It could be,
but I don't know.
Right, but I don't know.
My goodness.
You know, I mean,
I had to ask that.
It's no different than paranormal.
Yeah, ghost.
You know, yeah, ghosts and stuff like that. Like, we can watch all the footages that we want all the time, but until you actually are in there and experience it,
you see one, you know, or you feel its presence.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, I've been around some people that 100% believe in ghosts. Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, aside of that, we were almost going to get a studio.
Yeah.
From a ghost hunter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Full circle. Yeah. Full circle. But no, I've been around a few people that fully believe in ghosts, and it just blows my mind because they don't believe in God. You know what I mean? I'm like, how you don't believe in a spirit? You believe in a spirit, but you don't believe in God. You know what I mean? So it's just, you know, it's a tricky, slippery slope that I don't ever.
It's hard for sure, but I think there's a lot of evidence out there that is very factual for both sides.
Yeah.
You know
so you can't tell anybody that they're right or wrong.
Right.
In this day and age.
Right.
I'm going to say that.
You can't.
But that being said, it's like going in one church and saying you guys are wrong, and then going to another one and saying you guys are wrong. You know what I mean? You can't do that. You can't do that. So it's like you got to let people believe where they're going to be. You got to leave people where they're going to be at. You know. So
and the only thing that you can do on that is just be open enough to
understand and
you know,
receive
like,
it.
Who's to say that you could have asked me, hey, do you believe in aliens? And I could have been like, no, dude, those are fake as hell. And you could have had a fucking experience.
Like, dog, I got abducted.
Yeah, you could have got abducted.
Showed you a whole picture on my camera roll and everything.
Right, you know?
Oh, my God, yeah, that's a good point.
You just never know.
Yeah.
With what could happen or what people have been through or anything of that nature. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could have been on Paranormal Activity. I could have had stuff happen like that.
Man, you never know what people have been through.
Yeah, exactly.
You really know. And that is why we got a podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Man.
I don't know though. You know, like I look back at my entire life, and it's there's a lot of things that I'm just like, dude, like, how'd you make it through? Like, how are you here today?
Dude, you raised yourself to be the man that you are to this day. You had some. It sounds like you had like some ups and downs, like you know what I mean, just like everybody.
Like I wasn't,
but like I mean, your whole childhood was a up. You know, not a up. It was a down. My bad.
yeah,
It's a down. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Yeah, with ups in there because you had moments where, like you said, you met your grandma and stuff like that. But then once you became the man that you are today, dude, it's up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
you worked yourself to get to this point, and that's
Yep.
you got something to look back at.
I know, and it's wild too. Like, just hearing and seeing people younger than us, and they're like, how they're living. And I'm like, dude, like, you have no idea what it was like back in the 90s. Like,
yeah.
The way that some of these kids talk to their parents, dude.
Get kicked in the face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can talk about that more on my episode. We can save that for my episode because I never got kicked in the face. I just want that to be clear.
But I mean,
kicked in the face, like,
yeah,
dude.
Like back then, there was no such thing as
talking back. Like that's
you got popped.
When you said popped, I was thinking of like the Batman, the pop.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, yeah, like a comic book. Yeah.
But that's really what it was, man.
Right.
And it's just times have changed, man.
They
Times have changed.
Times
have changed.
But I mean, it's just wild. I'm thankful for all the things that I got. Like I got a girl now, and we mesh well, and I can't complain at all. Like we communicate very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all you can ask for in a partner, man.
We've had things come up in our relationship, and there hasn't been a moment that we haven't talked about it and not got past it.
Yeah.
Like we have been like, hey, this is what I'm feeling. This is why. And she had been very receiving and be like, okay, well, I understand. I see your point of view, and vice versa with me. And, there's not one thing that we have talked about that we left still feeling like we didn't get over it.
Yeah. Man.
And I've never.
Are y'all close in age?
That. No.
You're a little bit older than her.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so, that was just like, I remember the first time that had happened within our relationship. I was just
you were just like, what?
What just happened, dude? Like, this is what it's supposed to be like?
Like, this is what they've been talking about. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Man. Exactly. I mean, there's, I give a lot of thanks to one of the podcasts that I listen to a lot based on that.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly the podcast that it was, like the episode.
Yeah.
I remember the podcast.
Yeah.
But I ain't gonna
I bet say you can plug me if you want. I don't care.
No. But I remember listening to the podcast and really reflecting. And before I even listened to that podcast, let me back up a little bit. Whenever, like, once I started getting into therapy, like, I realized, like, I was the common denominator of all my past relationships. Like, everybody at every given point, no matter what, is a common denominator in their failed relationship.
Yep.
If you weren't, you'd be in a successful relationship.
You would be with someone.
Exactly. And so, like, once I started realizing that and then doing all the work that I did, and then I found that podcast, and then they were talking and just going into relationships and personal development and just giving out scenarios and stuff like that, I was like, damn, like, they just called me out on this. Like, yeah, I'd done that before. I've done that.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that. Yeah, that was fucked up of me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started really, like, implementing, okay, well, I know I'm not going to do that again. And just really
made you see what it was.
Right.
It's kind of like hearing something from somebody else. The same message you've been getting from the one person, but you hear it from somebody else, it clicks. That's kind of what that is.
Yep. So. And people are open to more indirect talking to than they are direct. Like you and I could be sitting here talking, and somebody else that's watching could be like, "Oh,
yeah.
And then whoever
clicks for them, they wake up the next day and they're like, "Oh, nope, I'm gonna apply that. I'm gonna apply that." Because it actually clicked for them.
And then their significant other's like, "What got into you?
I've been telling you that for months."
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, "Well, I heard them say it on the podcast last night." So
right.
Man, it's crazy how that works.
It's wild, man. It's wild for sure. But yeah, and then got back here.
After the divorce, came back to Cape.
Just worked out, stayed to myself,
Did you already have the job here lined up when you came back,
No.
or did you acquire that?
No, I applied in June. I don't remember, 23.
Okay.
And then got in September.
Did you like that better than what you were doing?
Yes and no.
No?
I mean, it's got its ups and downs here and there.
because of...
No, just because of how political everything is.
Gotcha.
And it's, you've got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this and this and this, and you got to jump through this hoop, you got to go through this and do this to be able to just get anything done.
Yeah.
Like, out there contracting, you could just go and do. And...
Yeah. Take care of it and be done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to like, well, can I do this? And then can I do that?
Yeah.
And then, who do I send it to? Like,
Yeah.
I understand.
Exactly. And then, so, I mean, the political side of it is what I don't like about it. I like the hours. I like being able to have my time. I like being at home every night.
Yeah.
I don't miss being out on the road like that.
That's a hard life to live.
Yeah.
It was a real hard life. You got to really be
Yeah.
cut for that.
Right. Especially if you got family and stuff. Like, fortunately for me, I didn't really have a family,
That's what kept me from doing it, saying a lot to you.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm good. I want to be at the crib.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it was good, and then got back here, did a lot of healing, did more healing on myself, just kind of just going to the gym, listening to books and podcasts, and just slowly inching my way back into the lifestyle that I was looking for,
Yeah.
And not knowing what I really wanted to do, but always felt like there was more to it and didn't know what was really happening and where things were going. I didn't know if I was supposed to be here, where I was supposed to be. I didn't understand it all. And so I feel like I was come back here to meet people and be a part of their lives that I needed to be a part of and that they needed to be a part of mine. And, being able to cross paths with you to start up a podcast so that way we can do conversations like this, and help people out and stuff like that. Like, if I wouldn't have moved back here, I probably wouldn't have met my girl, Like, I really feel like everything does happen for a reason, but it's so cliche to say.
It is, but when you just say it like that, it sounds like everything happens for a reason.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because what if we've never met? You know what I mean? Like, as many people that we've touched, just off of conversations and little things alone, just to, broaden it down to what we've got going on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that. What if that never happened? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we'd just be going on with our regular old lives, doing our regular old things.
Regular old thing, complaining about the same stuff. And, like, here we are, like, we got a vision and goals and dreams and everything like that we're individually and as being co-hosts, partners and stuff, and like there's a lot more to it than just what
you see.
Exactly. And so like just seeing where things are going now and how it's like completely different than what it used to be for me is just mind blown.
Yeah. You wake up every day like it's a new, like it's really a new day. Like you're like, all right, what am I gonna do today?
Right.
How long you been with your girl?
We've been together for about 7 months now.
7 months?
Yeah.
That's what's up. That y'all have that great communication within 7 months, too. I mean, that's a really good think.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't know.
Right. You know, that's like I lost where I was even going. But yeah, I mean that is a really, really good thing.
It's a good thing because like the dating pool sucks now because people don't know how to communicate.
Right.
And to meet somebody that knows how to communicate is really a good thing. Like,
right.
if you can't talk to me and we can't relate, let me back up. If you can't talk to me, as in if we can't have a natural conversation, like we don't have to talk about everything, but if we can't have a natural conversation, what are we doing?
Right.
You know? Talk to me. Be able to actually communicate and tell me how you feel, and let's, not live in our emotions, but be able to explain our emotions and why things make us. Dude, it sucks, man. It sucks, dude. It sucks.
It does. It sucks, really, really does. But I mean, it's good. Like I couldn't have asked for anything better. Like it really threw me off guard whenever that happened. I was like, damn, like that just happened. Like that's what I've been looking for. Like just as simple as communication with somebody and just being open enough and not being argumentative or attacking or
defensive.
Defensive. Like that's where a lot of things happen, is where people like don't take.
That's why they don't last.
Yeah.
And that's where I can say myself, a lot of relationships don't last.
No.
I'll get into that later on, but like, yeah, that's crazy, man.
But it's good to where it's been at now. Like there a lot of things are looking up, a lot of things are moving forward, and I'm excited to see where everything goes.
Yeah, keep it going, man.
Yeah,
keep going. That's a big thing too, because shout out to your buddy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
your buddy that you got to talk to for 4 or 5 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, because if you didn't, who would have knew? Who would have knew?
Exactly. There's been so many times that I could have just been another statistic. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I'm here for a bigger reason, obviously.
Oh yeah. For sure.
And
Unveiled Pass podcast.
Looks like we're about to figure that out here soon.
Man.
So
everybody has a story, dude.
Absolutely. And hopefully these stories will reach out and transpire to people, and they'll know that, hey, I'm not the only one that's been through this. Like, there's always somebody. Like, reach out, talk to somebody, because you never know.
No.
The only person you're hurting by not reaching out and talking is you.
Is yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that is it. Like, that is it. It's been plenty of times where, like you said earlier, that you just see, you're like, I'm tough. I can do it on my own. I could just, if I change this, I change this, and I change this, and I'll be good, Yeah. And that is not a constructive mindset to be in.
No.
Like, it's not. Like, it brings you to the point to where you're just tearing yourself down because you're trying to take on a whole load when you could just talk to somebody and get their point of view and their perspective over it. And you don't know what that'll do for you.
Right. Yep. And it was kind of like, I looked at it this way too, is like when you go to a job, you don't start out knowing everything. You're being taught that.
Oh yeah.
So what's happening? People are adding tools to your tool bag for that job.
Yep.
Every time you move up in a position, you're learning from the position above you. You should always know the position above you. That way, if something were to happen, you could step in and take their position. If they're sick, if they are on vacation, they leave, no matter what, then you got that spot, and then you're more likely to get that. So you have the tools for that tool bag there. Yeah, the same thing for yourself. If you continuously always do what you're doing and you don't talk to nobody, you're not gaining any tools to get past or move forward.
No. It's all about getting better.
Yeah.
It's all about being better.
Yeah.
That's really
doing better and applying yourself to want to be better. Yeah. A lot of people just sit and just like, whatever, this is it. This is my life. Like,
turns them to a-holes and freaking just mad at the world for no reason.
Yeah. I mean, just think, like, what if your life could be this over here that you've always wanted?
See, and it comes a lot from the way you've been raised, and like you're not, you're not normal in that case, because like normally people would just continue just drinking, doing drugs, being mad at the world. You know what I'm saying? Screw it. You know, they don't want to see the side that says, no, I should like help myself, obtain help for themselves.
Yeah.
And then say, no, let me help the world as well. You know, let me help the next person. And it's just shows how big of a heart that you have and how big of a heart that, you know, we think that people should have in that case, because you should always have a lending hand.
Yeah.
You know?
And don't get me wrong, like, I'm not a saint by any means. You know, I've done a lot of bad things too, but, you know,
I thought you was about to say I've done a lot of dirt.
I haven't done, you know, I've done a lot of bad things, but I will say, though, that I have recognized those and understood them and have done my part in mending those things for me and others. And even though things may not have ended right or good with them, at the same time, like, I'm still focusing on myself and still pushing forward and still recognizing and changing those things about myself that I
you're still growing.
You know, still growing. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you don't get to a certain point, then you're just like, oh, I'm capped for life. Yeah. You know what I mean? I've got all the skills I need. Like you said, man, you got to keep adding tools to that bag.
Yep.
You got to keep growing.
Absolutely.
Man. Well, I've loved hearing your path.
Thanks, man.
I've loved hearing your story.
We'll definitely get more into it later on.
Sure. As we go, and it's a cool thing about having a podcast. You guys are going to get to know us even more.
Yeah.
You know, like you're going to hear more, you know.
Yeah.
Stories that you couldn't tell me today that you get to tell me a sledgehammer?
Yeah.
Dog.
Yeah, dude. Like, that was just one of them, man.
A sledgehammer?
Like, yeah. Like, there would be other things that we might be able to relate with other people or relate with you on yours whenever you go to talk. Like, oh, yeah, I remember this time this happened.
Dude. See, and that's
similar.
I already know. Like, I ain't never seen a sledgehammer like that.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I mean, it was
that's
always
distinctive. Like, that's very distinctive to me, and that was something that, like I could see. It brought me to your level. It brought me to your level. I fully grasped what you were telling me, and that's why I wasn't just being funny. You know what I mean? I was just bringing, the importance of that. I was like, nah, dude, I see where you came from, bro. I see what you're saying, man.
Yeah.
But no, man.
So,
dude, sledgehammer.
That's wild. It was wild, man, for sure. Yeah. But, I mean, I'm here today, and
we'll be here for another episode, too.
Yep, we'll be here for another episode, for sure.
Man, that's what we get here at Unveiled Pass Podcast, man. So, we're going to let you guys go. Want to thank you guys for coming back for another episode of Unveiled Pass Podcast with my guy, Dustin here. You got to hear his story today.
That's right. Real people, real paths, real stories.
Hey, just like that. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share it, dude. Hey, once again, thanks, guys.
Hit that follow button. Peace out, y'all.
Peace.